are live from the Sarova White Sand Hotel in Mombasa, Kenya, where the AAU TV is partnering with PASGA to cover the annual convening of the PedaL expert and then also facilitators as well, and also a bit of the MRPP program. And so we are recounting the stories, the success stories, the aha moment of lecturers, teachers, facilitators throughout the PedaL training that has been going on in Africa. And we are privileged to have some participants who will be taking their key feedback as well. So stay tuned, relax, and enjoy the best of our interview sessions. My name has always been Kwesi Sam.
Please feel most welcome to Mombasa. It's a beautiful city. It's a very beautiful place to be. We are now about to start, and without much ado, I'd like to invite Professor Aina to make his remarks, and after that, we're going to invite Mr. Bekwe to make his remarks, and then we'll proceed accordingly. Over to you, Tade.
Thank you, Gerald. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, fellow travelers. I'll start off first by the regular protocol acknowledgements. I know that my younger brother Gerald that tries to do that, but I think from the perspective of PASGA, let me acknowledge the presence of some of our colleagues who are here. Some of us who are already at the table here, but I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Bonaventure Rutinwe, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Dar es Salaam. You're welcome, sir. Professor Lawrence Kamara, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Sierra Leone. Professor Kamara, you're welcome, sir. Professor Adeyinka Aderito, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Ibadan. Old soldiers never die. You're welcome, sir. And I want to acknowledge the presence of our pool of universities that are here. I think I will leave the best for the last, but let me start with the list of the universities. We have Egerton University, we have the University of Dar es Salaam, we have the University of Ghana, we have the University of Ibadan, we have Uganda Martyrs University, we have the University of Botswana, we have Uganda Christian University. We have the mother of all university networks, Association of African Universities here. We have the University of Nairobi, we have the University of Sierra Leone, we have the University of Pretoria, we have Mzumbe University, we have Makerere University, we have Maseno University, we have Moi University, we have University of Jos, we have University of Ilorin, we have Technical University of Kenya, and we have the University of Maryland. We have 21 universities, and I've left the University of Lagos last. I've left the University of Lagos last because, I mean, that's my alma mater, and that was my bringing home. So you're all welcome, all the different universities. I also want to, just talking about the University of Lagos, I'm really delighted that I come from the tribe of sociologists, and I'm really delighted that one of my ex-colleagues is here as the Dean of the School of Social Sciences. So, Professor Bameke, congratulations on your elevation to deanship, and welcome. I use that opportunity to welcome all our deans who are here, all our heads of department, all the principal officers who are here. I'm spending a lot of time on this because our strength is in the universities. We are a partnership, and our partnership is irrelevant, unusable, and unproductive if it is not anchored in the roots and the lives of the universities. And I cannot welcome you enough to Mombasa because I know you've been enjoying yourself. The energy that I have seen, the connection the emergence of a community of practice and a community of thoughts. I will say thoughts because I think it's necessary to pluralize that. It's amazing for me. And that is why on this occasion of the annual convening, normally we used to say it's the Collaborative Masters of Research in Public Policy. We have now included PedaL, the Pedagogical Leadership. And next year, we'll be including the doctoral program, because the doctoral program is actually ready to kickstart. At least we have 2 universities that are jumping into it. So the doctoral program is ready to kickstart. We have 2 universities, we have 15 scholarships. So we are ready to go. We are waiting for Mr. Vice Chancellor, University of Dar es Salaam, and we are waiting for Nairobi, and I think Botswana is it, our pilot universities for the doctoral program. So I want to say a big thank you to you for coming. I know it's going to be an active and robust next few days, because it is actually a step in our journey, our pedagogical journey. It's also a step in our motion, in our movement, from where we started with the Collaborative Masters of Research in Public Policy. And our journey is very interesting because it started from the formulation of an idea about learning and teaching, for which we had no name. Beatrice, you remember, we kept calling it alternative pedagogy, and I would say, what is the alternative pedagogy? That was where we started with the Collaborative Masters of Research in Public Policy. And the reason we did that was because we knew that learning and teaching had to change on our continent. The learning and teaching had to change in our universities. And learning and teaching had to change because our universities were no longer the same. And Professor Kiamba, my good old friend, I was saying that you are a walking encyclopedia. When I was introducing you to colleagues, maybe I should unmask you a little bit, that you are a walking encyclopedia of innovations and transformations in contemporary African higher education. You know, you've seen it all, he's done it all. Vice Chancellor, Permanent Secretary, Leader of Government, and World Bank, African Development Bank. So we are really privileged to have you here. And we want you to be both the gadfly and the midwife, almost in a Socratic sense. You sting us, and then you help us, you help to deliver us of our ideas. Because we cannot continue with the old ways of doing things. We cannot continue with the old ideas. And we cannot continue with the old remonstrations. And at the same time, we cannot continue to have our government leaders diminish and demean our universities. Because I believe there's a sustained attack. In Nigeria last week, the responsibility for the failure of Nigerian development was thrust right on the shoulders of Nigerian University by a president who was part of the class of 1966. Yes, they were part of the, I call them the class of 1966, and Nigeria has never recovered since. They, when they were 29-year-old and 31-year-old, you know, took the destiny of the nation and almost throttled his throat for 50 years. And yet they come around and say, universities, if you have failed, because everywhere there's a sustained attack on the higher education sector. And because we're a governance institution, I was saying to colleagues yesterday, I said this is a governance issue. Because basically it's about the authority of knowledge. It's a delegitimization of the real legitimate producers of knowledge, and a reduction and erosion of their authority to speak for the knowledge. Because professors are professors because they profess, and to profess is to speak for. It is a delegitimization that your politicians then want to claim the space of the authority to speak with knowledge for some things they do not know. And if they do not demean and diminish the legitimate authority for the reproduction and production of knowledge, they cannot effectively do that. It's a return to authoritarian knowledge, and it's a big governance and political issue. So I think it's interesting that we notice that, and we set into situation our self-correction mechanisms. we should correct ourselves as universities. And one of the interesting things there is a PedaL. The experiment we have started here is an element of that process of self-renewal and self-engagement and self-reclamation. I think the fact that we're doing this ourselves, the fact that we are challenging our learning and teaching, the fact that we are having people who have been professors for 40 years and people who are fresh postdocs sit in the same place and reclaim and talk to each other and engage each other and learn from each other and renew each other is actually a step forward in that process. It's not gloom and doom about African universities. Everywhere you go, the authoritarian, authoritative leaders who want to claim the monopoly of knowledge and the authority to speak, to interpret us in every way, although the domains of interpretation are plural and diverse. They want to interpret history, they want to interpret physics, they want to interpret politics, they want to interpret economic development. That kind of concentration of knowledge does not exist in one person. Neither does that kind of concentration of knowledge even exist in our universities. That is why in terms of supervision, we are sharing resources. In terms of training, we are sharing resources. That is why PASGA is here. For staff mobility, staff engagement, sharing of resources, sharing of knowledge. And that's what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to be engaging, we're going to be sharing, we're going to be critiquing each other, we're going to be in a reflective mode, we're going to be in a learning mode. It is part of our journey, pedagogical journey. It's also part of our journey of self-discovery, engagement, and renewal as members of these communities of practice and thought. So I want to welcome you all. I want to say thank you very much for coming. I want to acknowledge our colleagues from the governmental sector. I have not been critical, I've just been reflective. I've just been reflective with you. And I think it's important that we have this reflection because we are entering a knowledge economy. We are on the verge of the fourth industrial revolution. Professor Kiamba is leading a lot of work in that field, which we hope PASGA will be able to join you soon in that area of work. We're entering that world, and that world is driven by knowledge. And the knowledge of that world is not the knowledge of divine revelation. Our politicians cannot wake up and say, I had a dream yesterday, and this is the way Kenya should go, or this is the way Tanzania should go. That's no longer the way. It's evidence-based knowledge that has been developed and generated through the protocols and the processes of knowledge creation, either in the humanities, in the sciences, or in technology. So welcome to beautiful Mombasa. I don't need to tell you it's beautiful. I don't need to tell you to relax. I saw people I've never seen in shorts before. I saw lots of beautiful men's knees yesterday. I said, I couldn't recognize somebody. I said, is that you? Then I looked at his knees and I said, because people were wearing shorts. I was typically conservative, so I was wearing my trousers. So you will not see my toes or see my my knees. But I think the relaxed mode is there, but also the hard work is there. Thank you very much. I hope we'll have a productive, I'm sure we'll have a productive week, and I'm sure we'll get into the nitty-gritty. It's going to be a lot of hard work. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I don't know what else you saw in those shots. I don't know what else you saw in the shots. Colleagues, we've got these 4 Twitter handles. Tade just said something about shorts that I'm sure you'd like to tweet about. So, but on a more serious note, if there's something interesting about our discussions, there you go. There's something I forgot to mention. Just like they do on the planes, we've got about 5 emergency exits here. So in the unlikely event of a fire, sorry? There's 1 there, and 2 there. Is there another one somewhere here? over there. And as they always say, please be calm. Leave your laptops and everything here and walk out calmly. There'll be someone out there to direct you to a gathering point. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Prof. Aina. You would agree with me that those are very powerful remarks. The assault on the university, that's quite critical. If you go back to the whole idea of the African university being a developmental university and the challenges it has experienced over time, and the irony that afterwards people can stand aside and throw stones at it and say, look, you've not delivered. The very interesting debates there. Allow me now to invite Mr. Ransford Bekwe, who is representing the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. The Executive Director of PASGA, members of the High Table, Professor Crispus Kiamba, my mentor. I'm privileged to be here on behalf of the Association of African Universities, whose headquarters is in Accra, but we have regional offices in Khartoum, Sudan, and then in Cairo, Egypt. One of my educational mentors is also called Professor Pai Ubanya, who is Nigerian and former director of West African Exams Council. When Professor Pai Ubanya is talking about education, or what he calls educationeering, he lays emphasis on one thing, which is quality education, quality education, quality education. And when he's talking about quality education, he's talking about education that leads to the development of the human person, which is the head, the hand, and the heart. Permit me to just pick up from where the executive director ended. That is the knowledge economy. The knowledge economy is not driven by our natural resources or whatever we have, but is driven by human resources. So this places a big responsibility on us as universities to reconceptualize what an educated person or who an educated person is. To the Association of African Universities, an educated person is one who applies both the codified knowledge and the regenerative knowledge. So, in our current dispensation, teachers, like any other profession, have to be knowledge workers. And to be knowledge workers means that we have to also be abreast with both implicit and explicit knowledge. And we are happy from the Association of African Universities to observe that PASGA is driving this, and we are proud to be associated with the PedaL initiative by PASGA. And AAU is partnering PASGA by being the official media outlet. So on this very brief remarks, I wish everybody a very successful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Colleagues, please permit me to invite Dr. Budo, speaking on behalf of Dr. Julius Juan from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Over to you, Dr. Eric.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As I speak, I know for those of us who love soccer, Africa Cup of Nations is ongoing in Egypt. And as a Kenyan, yesterday I stayed late in the night to watch my team being welcomed to the stage, 2-0. And in that spirit, I want to welcome all of you to Mombasa. So turn to your neighbor and say, Karibu Mombasa. You can shake hands or high five. Karibu Mombasa. Thank you. So, my name, as you've been told, is Dr. Samuel Obudo. I'm the Deputy Director in charge of Technical Vocational Education and Training at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. I'm standing here in front of you on behalf of Dr. Juan, who was to be here, actually is on the way coming, but had to have a meeting very early. The current CS of education, we have Professor Magoa, likes early morning meetings that start at around 6. So he was called for a 6 a.m. meeting, and he had to attend, but he's on his way here. So he asked me to give his opening remarks on his behalf. So as KICD is known, that is Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, we have a mandate to develop curriculum and curriculum support materials for basic education. That is right from pre-primary school 1 to grade 12. And you have just come in at the right time when we are reforming our education. We are moving from a system that we used to call 8-4-4. That is 8 years of primary education, 4 years of secondary, and 4 years of university, to a new one that we are calling 2-6-3-3. 2 years pre-primary, 6 years of primary, 6 years of secondary, that is junior secondary 3 years, senior secondary 3 years, and then 3 years at the university. This meeting would not have happened at a better time than this, because as an institution, we are mandated to develop curriculum for basic education below university. But we have to collaborate with the university, because the university provide us with the teachers who teach at the secondary school level and also the teacher training colleges. The challenge we've been having is, I don't know what happens in your countries, do you have a different curriculum for preparing teachers? That is, do you train the students who undertake Bachelor of Education differently, those who are going to teach in secondary school differently, and those who are going to teach teachers differently? That is something that has come up in our discussions, that for teachers we should develop andragogy and not pedagogical skills. But we are yet still finding a way how to come up with this. We also faced with the challenge of having to look at the pre-service teacher education, where pedagogy is core. And there are those already in service who this PedaL will really address, those who will undertake this course that you are advocating for. So the reformed curriculum is stressing on competence. We are moving from knowledge-based or knowledge outcome system of education to a competence-based system of education. What does that mean? We are saying, just like we've been told, that we want doers, not only thinkers. Not only people who can regurgitate knowledge, but they can demonstrate that they have the ability to perform some function. From where I sit or from where I come, in Kenya, as I speak, we are obsessed with papers. You get me? We are obsessed with having higher qualification, but with a little demonstration on the same. Why do I say so? You find that our pyramid is inverted. Instead of having one manager looking after or taking care of supervising several gangs, in construction we call them a gang, we have several managers taking care of one person. So everybody wants to give the employee instructions and nobody wants to perform. So having looked at that, it has now informed our thinking of the curriculum, that we should do things differently. We should insist or develop competencies in our learners. And competency-based curriculum stresses on 7 core competencies that when a child goes through the system, right from pre-primary school 1 to grade 12, then they should have 7 competencies, of which the first one is communication and collaboration. They should be able to communicate and collaborate amongst themselves. They should be able to think critically and solve problems, not to be thought for. They should have digital literacy, and they should be patriotic. They should be citizens of Kenya, think locally and act globally. They should have the urge to self-efficacy, reason to learn, that is learning to learn. I've just mentioned but a few. So all said and done, the best thing that is happening in our country now is the competency-based curriculum, of which the pedagogical leadership program will really add or aid into making it a success. It wasn't my day, it was day for Dr. Juan. I've just spoken on my own thinking, and I think if he was standing here, he could have said the same things that I've said. Otherwise, asanteni sana and karibuni Mombasa. Thank you so much.
I was very anxious when he started referring to the match last night. I'm happy he didn't mention the outcome of the match. Maybe the team needs some competency-based coaching. Colleagues, on a serious note, may I please invite Dr. James Mwangi Kiburi, Director, Higher Education, Ministry of Education, Kenya, to speak to us. Karibu Daktari.
The Executive Secretary, PASGRA, all invited guests, including the keynote address speaker, Professor Chris Baskiaba, who was my boss several years ago, and he still remains my boss. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome all, especially those who have come from outside the country. I say karibu sana to Mombasa, like my earlier colleague said. As a ministry, we have been working with PASGRA, and we appreciate the work that they are doing in training or enhancing the pedagogical training of academic staff. We realize that it is important for all lecturers, including professors, to be capacity built in pedagogy so as to improve the learning outcomes of our students, which should lead to quality and relevant education, and eventually contributing to our socio-economic development. The idea of starting an institute for pedagogical training of lecturers has been here for a very long time. Because I remember some years back, we went with some consultants to several universities where they were trying to assess maybe the capacity for universities to offer the training across Africa. And I think now this idea has come to fruition through PedaL. And I think it's an initiative that we need to all support, as it will help our continent to improve on learning outcomes. I don't want to take a lot of time. I will just say that I'll just mention and say that I have observed the program and noted what is planned to be done. It is sharing of experiences on the pedagogical training and also networking. And I wish you fruitful discussions towards this. I also want to encourage everybody, especially those from outside the country, to enjoy our hospitality and visit some of our numerous tourist attraction sites in the coast and possibly even later to the rest of the country. Otherwise, thank you and God bless you.
Asante Daktari. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite Dr. Abubakar Muhammad Moki, Commissioner of Policy Office, the President, Republic of Uganda, to speak to us. Karibu.
Thank you very much, Coordinator. Good morning, colleagues. Yeah, I've been introduced. I'm from the Office of the President, the Republic of Uganda, specifically from the Cabinet Office. And as you may be aware, Cabinet is usually the highest decision-making body of the executive. So I'm from the office that supports Cabinet. I'm in charge of policy and also in charge of capacity building on policy issues in the country. Now I start by thanking Pascal and PedaL for the invitation extended to us to participate in this important event, and also for allowing me the opportunity to speak in this occasion. I'm really very grateful and honored for that. Secondly, I would like to thank our partners that introduced us to this forum. That's Uganda Matters University. Thank you very much for exposing us to this forum that enable us to participate in this. I appreciate, and we pray that the collaboration continues. As we all know, we are all expected to make contributions towards addressing issues concerning our citizens. The challenges that our citizens face, we're expected to make contribution. As governments, as universities, and private sector, so coming together like this and inviting us is very, very important. And I pray that such collaborations continue, because there's no single entity that can address society problems. We need to work as partners. So government needs to play a role, the private sector, the civil society organizations, so that we forge ahead together. Now, coming from government, we see that research and public policy are very crucial for evidence-based interventions that address these issues that I've mentioned, that we are there not for the sake of it, but to address the challenges concerning our people. So looking at the earlier initiatives you had, the Masters in Policy and Research, it's very, very timely, and we have benefited a lot as a country through the trainings by Uganda Matters University and then Uganda Christian University. Those are the two leading universities that currently are doing that in Uganda. So we have benefited a lot, and some of our colleagues that have gone through these programs have really created some change, and we are seeing interventions getting more focus, and we appreciate for the initiative started by Pascal. Now, universities in Uganda, like in Matters Universities, Uganda Matters University, Uganda, and others that have come aboard, including Makerere, I think need more support, if possible, to enable them to reach out to more and more civil servants. Like it was mentioned earlier, the politicians want to dominate knowledge in some areas. And yet, you professors, you have trained officials who have got employed in government, but they are also being sidelined in some cases. Just as professors say, they are the authorities of knowledge, and the politicians want to speak on that knowledge, and yet they don't have the authority. Likewise, even the civil servants who are there, having a similar challenge. So I think this is an opportunity where we need to support universities to empower those frontline workers who are representing you, so that if they succeed in ensuring that the politicians listen to them, then you as professors will also have what? Benefited from that. Otherwise, there's no way they can not speak on your areas of authority without those people being capacitated. So that indicates that we have a number of opportunities that are challenges in building that area. And of course, we also have limited capacity in carrying out research. That's why at times some officials are not articulate enough to defend their proposal to the politicians. Because see, if you don't have evidence, you can't convince the politicians. And that's why they take on their own way. So it's important that these programs continue. We address the gaps on research, address the gaps in the way we do things in a structured and systematic technical processes, gaps in analysis, and also gaps in communication. Because at times you find that an officer may have the evidence, but fails to communicate it in a way that the politicians understand. So all those need to be looked at, and those create the opportunities. Now, for us in Uganda, we have had a number of engagements that we have had with the universities to provide input in addressing some of those areas. Like the key institution that we are working with, Uganda Matters University. We had a meeting with them. We have had a number of meetings. They have also made presentations to the policy analyst cadre. In Uganda, we have a cadre called policy analyst cadre. They are the policy advisors to government, so they have engaged with them. They have also engaged with the directors, commissioners, and secretaries who initiate policy proposals to see how we fix on that. But still, there are many other areas. Lastly, I would like to talk about some appeals. One is that I note that there's need for more interaction among the academia and the public officials through think tanks. So this is an area we could explore. How we support this? Why? Because the officials are the frontier staff engaging with the politicians. So if these academicians can interact with these through things and so on, empower them so that the politicians listen to them, then the politicians will also listen to the professors. Because these are the representatives of the professors, they're trained by the professors to work in the service. So there's need for that. Then the second area is that there's need for continued partnership, collaborations in capacity building, in public policy and research for the policy officials. Some of them have been trained, but there are many more. But of course, governments at times are incapacitated. Now they're having priorities for infrastructure. They tell you, we don't have enough resources, let capacity building first wait, let's first concentrate on infrastructure. So that calls for need for some collaboration on how we can work together to ensure that we continue building the capacity of these public officials in areas of research and public policy so that we're able to make change. And these innovations you have got of PedaL, I think, will be helpful, the innovations that we are coming with. Then second last is on the issue of collaborative research. There's need for some support in that area, where the academia and public officials carry out some joint research so that contemporary issues are addressed. Because most often politicians don't want to look at research done by academicians. That's theoretical. That's why you find that there's a lot of research works in various universities, and yet government officials cannot apply. They will not allow this. You know, that theory, those are for academicians, those are thinkers, or something like that. But if you have a system where we have collaborative research, then the input of the officials will bring in that practical aspects, and then it will be more action-related. And I believe that it will work. So, like in Uganda, we already have a national policy research agenda that the public officials, the various ministries have compiled, identifying the areas that we could start with. We have also shared with a number of universities so that they can guide students to research in those areas so that we can have evidence-based interventions. But of course, leaving it that we are alone, they will still say this is theory and so on and so forth. Then maybe we also need to look at how we can involve other players into this kind of interpretation. Because when people are trained in universities, they go out, some go out to work, others do things on their own. But now those who work, they get employed somewhere, in the private sector, in the civil society. So it will be good to get input from the private sector, to inform whatever will impact on the what? On the students, on the learners, will impact to the learners. So that whatever the learners get is relevant to what the market event. Like this forum, I would have expected maybe represent some private sector, civil society, so that they also put in some feedback to inform the other processes. And then this issue of looking at the need to balance global trends, I think it's good, but we also need to see how we capture the local dynamics. We are doing all this to make sure that we balance the global trends, but that other aspect of the local circumstances also needs to be. Sorry for taking time. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moki, for those very, very useful remarks. He knows a thing or two about politicians, so please take what he said very seriously. He works with them. Colleagues, please join me in applauding this distinguished panel of speakers for those opening remarks. Thank you very much. I'm sure we've got quite a lot of takeaways. The point was made, I think, by the colleague from Kenya Curriculum Development Institute when talking about the qualities, and the sense I got that pedagogy is probably neither about knowledge and skills, probably it's more about human qualities and dispositions. A reference has been made to the fourth industrial revolution, and that speaks to the unknown. Okay, Tade talked about us being just about to get there, but it's unknown, and so the question becomes, how do you teach for the unknown? Okay, how do we get ready? What must we do? What kind of pedagogy, and in fact curriculum, do we need to implement to be able to achieve or optimize the affordances that come with the fourth industrial revolution? I'm not a speaker. So let me again thank you, the panel. Thank you very much. We're now moving to the next presentation, and that's by Beatrice, who is going to speak to us about PedaL and MRPP. We all know Mama PedaL, so I don't have to introduce her, isn't it? Okay, over.
So if that is not an exceptional learning moment, what is it? This is what PedaL is all about. All government officers present, our keynote speaker, my former and present boss, Professor Kiamba, university leadership, our thought leader, Professor Tadeaina, colleagues and champions of PedaL. Good morning, and thank you very much for coming to celebrate this birthday. So I'll tell you what you know, because we are all part of this family, but especially for our guests, I think it will be very insightful. You know that PedaL is one of 9 partnerships supported through the Strategic Partnerships for Higher Education Innovation and Reform. It is the only African-led partnership among those projects supported by DFID through SPHERE. And we originally came together as 5 partners to put together this proposal and drive the partnership. Having started like that, we then invited all our MRPP universities, so they are very much at the core of this PedaL. We are also working with ARUA, Africa Research Universities Alliance universities, and these universities are focal as entry points into other universities. So PedaL is for everybody. Everybody must come on board for this transformation to realize its fruits. We want small universities, big universities, faith-based, private, public, all of them. And the results of our engagement at the hub training in Entebbe, you saw us bring Makerere very strongly on board. We tried to help them shed their light on PedaL with other universities. We had a small university, African Rural University. We had a university from a post-conflict region, Gulu University. We had Kisubi, Kiambogo, and of course our co-partners. When we went to Ibadan, we also had an opportunity to engage with other universities, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Obafemi Awolowo University, University of Lagos, again, Jos, and many others. So this is the approach that whenever we go to any country, our partner university will help us to reach other universities. And so through PedaL, we have the 4 objectives, just enhancing the capacity of our champions, the teaching staff, to unleash their potential to innovate. In PedaL, the only instrument we have really is our ability to innovate through role plays, through case studies, through picking appropriate materials to help us maximize learning outcomes among students. So we are not cowed by the constraints within our environment because we know that we are the driving force. So through this process, you're able to use the innovations in delivering your courses. We strengthen the community of practice through this kind of interactions and our learning management system, and of course, catalyze university ownership. Simon? So why PedaL? We've gone through this before, you've experienced it, you have a better story to say, you know that it's dynamic. We start with the core, it can expand into a postgraduate certificate, diploma, and even a master's, and this is actually happening. It engenders deep learning as opposed to surface learning. It speaks to the local issues, but also has a global perspective. The collaboration, everybody bringing something on board and sharing what is available across the partnership. And of course, the immediacy, the fact that we work on a course outline and immediately implement. That is really very exceptional and different from other training programs. So usually I don't speak to the design of PedaL because those who design PedaL are here. Please let's have all the resource persons come in front, resource persons, so that you can meet the team that put this together. Esther and your team, please clap for them as they come. They need courage.
I'm Esther Sechi-Dawson from University of Ghana, Legon, and on the Innovative Assessment team.
So I'm Martin Kamara. I work on technology enhanced learning.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Jaime Ongeti. My name is Remy.
I'm Harriet, and I'm one of the facilitators of the pedagogical models and strategies.
I have been asked to talk for myself. I'm David Wagombe from Strathmore University Business School. I lead in the case methodology, especially the e-cases of PassGate. If you haven't had a taste of that, please don't leave this place before we give you a slice of it.
My name is Colin Babahide from University of London. I have made it from Moi University.
Good morning all. My name is John Pamsha from the University of Jos curriculum. So we thought that we should separate it and make it quite known to all of us. Thank you very much.
And finally, I'm Mama PedaL. I welcome you to the PedaL family and we'll do it in a special way. Okay, that's Nadira, but the passion for PedaL is this one. Let's know. I think you all want to join activities from the So back to the presentation again. We integrate all our learning in one tool, and that is the course outline. How does this work? Just what are the dominant things that stand out from those 6 learning areas in a course outline? For the learning objectives, your educational foundations, your beliefs about the way students learn and what knowledge can do for the student and for the world will influence the objectives you set, because any content can be taken in any direction, but the objectives provide a roadmap. Same to learning outcomes. It's your beliefs about what students can do with this knowledge, what this knowledge can do for the world. And again, you see that pedagogical leadership plays a very important role. And when we did that pedagogical leadership module, you saw there was a trajectory. So you move at different levels on that trajectory. So you're thinking and your innovation about what you can do with the content will grow increasingly, and this will influence how you structure your objectives, your learning outcomes, your content, delivery strategies, and even the resources you choose. So again, delivery strategies. Are you choosing case studies? Why? It's all about your beliefs about the way students learn, your philosophy, the teaching and learning theories. And then, of course, that guides you to design the curriculum. Are you going to use technology-enhanced learning or not? It's all embedded in PedaL, the innovative assessment strategies that you draw from. So all of these are incorporated in the course outline. And that is why the single most important deliverable from PedaL is usually a redesigned course outline. It integrates all the things that we have learned. When we go through a course on simulations, for example, we invite teaching staff to think about a simulation they can actually use in their course. And these are the stories we'll be sharing. Simon? So what are the expected learning outcomes after the PedaL training, which most of you went through a year ago? We expect that now you are more reflective. We will hear your stories about that. You are more effective. You are more inclusive and responsive in delivering the curriculum. You can draw the voices of the laid back. You can bring gender issues at the center of learning. We expect that you are now integrating multimedia resources. You're assessing and capturing learning outcomes from various learning experiences. And you have the ability to talk to Cyrus and to talk to Abubakar and influence policy. And of course, our good DVC Professor Rutin was there, smiling. I'm sure he's doing something at the university to influence uptake through and creating an enabling environment. So this is where we began. This is where we are going. I'll not go through this. I'm sure most of you have seen it before. Let's go forward. But who has been with us on this journey as we PedaL on? That was PedaL at Ibadan. We provide guided practice. That is PedaL in Uganda. There was a role play on Kenyan elections, and our presidents won. They are here. One of the presidents is there. The other one, please stand. They won the Kenyan elections in the role play on Kenya. Clap for them. Yeah. Okay. Again, education and society. We were on Lake Victoria, learning something about our stereotypes, and so PedaL takes you everywhere. Let's go on. So these are some of the major milestones. We had the design, pilot, inception, central delivery. In quick succession, June, July, August. Move on. Then we had University of Nairobi training, the hub training in Uganda, University of Ibadan, and again University of Ibadan. So the first one was specifically on curriculum design, and following that, all the postgraduate programs of the University of Ibadan are being redesigned. I think we should give a clap to the Provost of Ibadan, please. He led that process of transformation. We are very proud of him. Okay, let's move on. So, what are some of the immediate results? Deconstructing tricky topics or threshold concepts like assessment. So this is a product from one of the training sessions. Let's go on. This is usually one of my most favorite presentations, because when we started teaching Professor Wanyande, when we started teaching case studies, you put us to task, you wanted us to tell you why you should teach using case studies, among others. So we were always having to explain when we started with the MRPP. But through PedaL, which is systematized, we've gotten to a point whereby our teaching staff, after going through the FGM case study, after going through a session on theories of learning and tying everything together, they sit in groups and tell us which is the theory they are going to draw from as they move forward in their teaching, what are the methods they will use from these theories, and why. So they tell us, we don't tell them. So this was one of the group presentations. They said they will draw from theories on experiential learning. And so the methods they'll use are role play and case study. They will also draw from multiple intelligence theory and use multimodal approaches. And the preference for these theories, learner-centered, participatory, learners learn differently. The next one, that was from a group in medicine, and they were able to draw this beautiful diagram showing they will draw from transformative learning theories, and through this, they will focus on lecture, question and answer, and discussion, because it's about, questioning your initial beliefs about something to create new knowledge. They will also structure case studies and simulations. And also there's a connection in experiential learning between case studies, simulations, practical work, and clinical work. So our accomplishments in a nutshell, we have a quality and relevant demand-driven curriculum. So far we have trained 650 teaching staff in 1 year. When we designed PedaL, our projection was that we would train 1,000 teaching staff in 2.5 years, because we were not sure how you teach people who think they know everything. But the acceptability and the demand for PedaL has been overwhelming. And we are very happy to note that this transformation is real. So we have 30 participating universities, but growing very fast. Just here we are 20. The community of practice is very active on the learning management system and on the smartphones. So the first, you among the first cohort, then we had not really developed the telephony capabilities. Now Simon will help you to download Moodle on your telephone. So there's uptake within the Sphere partnerships. Even within the Sphere partnerships, they are being trained in PedaL because they recognize that it is the thing that's moving this transformation in pedagogy. We have redesigned about 400 courses. We have developed 20 e-cases, digitally enabled cases, to add on the 38 we have so far. So now, right now we have 58 e-cases. So the issue of I can't use case studies because there are no materials is not there. We are addressing that gap. We have integrated PedaL in STEM. At the University of Ibadan, we managed to help in the redesigning of about 10 STEM programs. There are spillover benefits also to undergraduate and, of course, institutionalization. So how are these innovations being institutionalized? At the University of Ibadan, as I mentioned, there was redesign of all programs, social sciences, arts and humanities, and STEM. Egerton University is at a very advanced stage of accrediting a postgraduate diploma in pedagogical innovation and practice. And like I mentioned before, colleagues, the credits that you get from this experience and doing all of your assignments will be waived when you register for the pedagogical leadership program at Egerton University. Uganda Christian University is at a very advanced stage of accrediting a postgraduate diploma in pedagogical innovation and practice. The curriculum was externally reviewed by the University of Minnesota. It's gone through the process, it's now at the Senate. Then Uganda Christian, we have started a discussion also about the diploma. And of course, PedaL has been integrated in the doctoral program in public policy. And Natasha here, Natasha, just wave at everybody, start. Natasha here is already inviting applications to the University of Pretoria for the doctoral program. Clap for her. Next. Yes, so today it's about PedaL on the move. And the questions we should be asking each other is, where are you? Where are you in these steps? We hope, and we have seen the general picture is one of growth, but we also acknowledge that you have faced some challenges. Those are the stories we want to hear. What are your challenges and how can colleagues in this room help you overcome? We know some have been moving steadily up, but we are a family, we are together, we are holding each other's hands, and we want to move forward together. Next. So what others say? What are people telling us about PedaL? And all this is documented in our feedback surveys. It's an eye-opener. It's a program for the future. It defines the next significant moment in my career. I am born again. I mean, what else would you want to hear? It's a must for all. Let's go. So that was a very engaging moment with that professor of mathematics from the University of Ibadan. And at the end of it, he said, I get it. Okay. What's your story? What's your story? That's why we are here, to share these stories of our pedagogical journeys. Thank you.